Hello and welcome to the Understanding Narcissist YouTube channel. Thank you for joining me. This might be the big kahuna. The big thing that I think is probably on your mind. I know I've certainly gotten questions about it. This might burst some bubbles. I don't know. I'm not particularly controversial. But it's kind of the age-old problem of, age-old question of love and these damaged, destructive people. Could we love them enough, as is our hope, and our first thought, kind of our first instinct? Can we love them enough to fix them and help them really, okay, we're not that naive, help them help themselves. We can do that, right? Can't some good come about it? Well, I don't need to tell you in the first place that narcissists will use that. They will encourage that kind of thinking, and they will select you out of many other people if you are partial to that thinking and inclined towards that thinking that you can help people by just loving them enough and doing enough good. And if that will just continually drive you to doing more things for them and being gullible to the illusion. Does that prove that therefore it can't help them just by the fact that they manipulate you with it? No. Maybe they're just not, maybe they just don't have enough faith and they're too scared and withdrawn in order to open up to receive love. But as I go in this video, I'm gonna talk about why I think that isn't the case, unfortunately, that you can't help them with love, and why love, to some extent, is used to control and for the sake of control. But it's not used that well. If you really think about it, and in my experience, the idea of love and deep affection is not exploited by the narcissist as it should be, as powerful a tool as it is that could be used to manipulate people. They don't use it to its full extent, theoretically. I'm kind of being diabolical here, thinking, well, they could be more destructive if they used love to a greater extent. And the reason they don't, I think, is because they can't. It's kind of like using the truth to do harm. Can you use the truth to do harm? In the narcissistic scheme of things, you can't. They have to lie, they have to exaggerate. They can augment their lies with truth and associating their lies with true things so that you assume they're telling the truth, but they can't really use the truth. In the same way, they can't use love. They can't use good feelings. They can't use affection and healthy bonds to help their cause, and except in an extremely limited sense. And so that's why love can be, to some extent, thrown around quite a bit by a narcissist, but not as much as you'd think. Not as much as good intentions and my good values or my religion or whatever it happens to be, the happy thoughts in my head. That would work better than trying to leverage love to control others. It really doesn't work. They'll play it up. I'm not saying they won't use it, but love is, I don't feel like it's a central theme. And I think they also don't like to use it. And I'm not really sure why. But I can tell you one, I think there's probably a fear of it at the heart of it, because the idea of love is kind of synonymous with vulnerability, isn't it? You have to be vulnerable if you're going to be deeply, and it can be in love or just love for your child or for a friend or anybody or anything for that matter. But especially between people. So I think it's really a feared thing. I think it's something that it can't fix them but it certainly can threaten them and topple their control and threaten their control. And that's where they have problems with it. So to go a little further, you can't help a narcissist with love. And I hate to say this, but there's a degree to which you try to love them and they make themselves unlovable. The relationship with you on a deep level has to be one of animosity, and it has to be adversarial, or even more. They almost have to be a arch enemy. They almost have to be a monumental threat and a life or death foe. I don't know why that is. They want you to actually harbor great feelings of hatred towards them. And you spend enough time around them, and you're honest with yourself, and a side of you is going to hate them. I honestly believe that if you're a healthy person, healthy-ish person, you're going to hate them because they are very hateable people. That is kind of something that is a first step. They want you to have this attraction towards them in the sense that you are someone who is inclined to being controlled and propping up a controlling person because you're a fearful human being, at the same time hating them all the while they're doing it. Kind of the enabler's contradiction, their own inner conflict. They sustain themselves and their illusion on those negative emotions, on those negative feelings, on contempt and malice. So, that's a big thing I just said, and requires further elaboration. But you can see, let's say under that model I just described, love has no place. Love is not wanted there. They don't want love. They don't want you to love them. They kind of want you to hate them and be forced to hate them. And be forced to stay with them and hate them because of your own weaknesses. Kind of like them, because they hate you too. They blame you for everything, but they can't leave. They're not going anywhere. You're the one who's going to leave at some point. That's how it works. And again, I know I'm beating a dead horse here, but I'm not, it sounds like a romantic relationship, and yes, there are tons of them, and most of them will be like this, but they can be any kind of relationship. It'll probably be stronger in a romantic relationship and more fleshed out. But it's not going to be any different. It could just be more pronounced and to a greater extent, to a greater degree. But there is no place for love in that setup. Real love. And to really leverage love, as I talked about at the beginning, it's not really possible. They can't do it. They'll try to make you feel bad by, oh, I love you and you're so mean towards me, to get what they want in that moment. But love is not a big part of it. Love, I think it's because love is what they're running from. Maybe I'm being too poetic, romantic, whatever. Love does not fit into the equation. It's just like the truth. All of that would topple their entire regime. It is totally against and stands in complete and utter opposition to what they do. And so you can't have it around. They hate love. One of the things I've seen that narcissists hate, maybe more than anything else, is love threatening their control. Is love between two people overcoming, because it will, any kind of real loving situation will, overcoming their abuse and their control and beating it, because it will. Their abuse and their negative everything is not going to topple real feelings of love. And that's where I think it comes down to this. And you can agree or disagree. Maybe I'm totally wrong. But tell me what you think in the comments below. I think they want love, are afraid they can't get it, and so they're absolutely furious. And therein lies the true tragedy. Because love is their enemy, because they were effectively assured of never getting it through no fault of their own. Somebody did that to them. Somebody destroyed them and made them unreceptive to love, incapable of receiving love and giving love and being vulnerable and feeling that and developing. Maybe that's at the heart of their issue. I don't know. Maybe, like I said, maybe I'm being naive and romantic and poetic, whatever. But I think that is where the conflict lies. It's a hatred and an envy because other people were given this wonderful gift. I've talked about, well, we have freedom, we can change, we can grow, but it's really that we can feel love, and we can be loved, and we can love others, and be vulnerable, and have that extremely deep bond with others, and they cannot. And I think that is what's got them so upset and so destructive when it comes down to it. I don't think they know it. I think they deplore it. I think they hate it, and they would never admit it. But I think that's what's going on. I think that might be what the actual conflict is and why they're wary of love and why love is never a huge part of the equation. They use it superficially. You may hear about it a lot, but it's not going to be leveraged in the same way that everything else is because they maximize everything else. They use everything else, but they're not going to use love. It's just not going to happen. And maybe that's the heart of their conflict. I don't know. I hope you like this video. Like it if you do. Share it with somebody you think might benefit from it. Comment in the comment section below what you think about my whole, theory here. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next episode. Bye.